Hi everyone, this is Maryann here, and you're listening to Random Sage with Maryann from Revealing Light. Welcome all to my podcast. Usually, as I said, it's weekly, sometimes fortnightly, depending on what's going on. I've been away, so it's good to sit back in the podcast chair and look at a new theme and a new subject for the next week or so. What I want to do today is talk about why do people still support a former US president that led an attempted coup? That would have to be the logical question, wouldn't it? But so much of this is not logical. It's illogical. Okay, let's get started. There's a few salient points that I want to make that go to answering this question before I talk about where the universe steps in, because this is, after all, a podcast that looks at higher themes. First, to this earthly three-dimensional realm that we live in. Why would people still support a US president that led an attempted coup? I think many of us from around the world look upon the certain sections of the US, and unfortunately, they're the sections that get the most headlines and shake our heads and go, how, and why? I understand some of the reasons because I've been involved in political tarot, political astrology, spiritual, looking at the higher or the spiritual reasons for why this is occurring for the last 5 or 6 years. And so I know the situation, even though I don't live in America, reasonably well. And I have many, many, many American viewers and who have become my friends. And so, yes, I do have a little bit more of an understanding of this. So why do people still support this former president, indicted criminal on criminal charges, I should say, indicted defendant? He's an indicted US former president on criminal charges. Okay, so we can call him Defendant Trump, as indeed the Department of Justice in America has referred to him as Defendant Trump. He's facing multiple charges, and you can just Google Trump indictments and find out just how weighty those indictments are and how they're likely to go in the future, to become even more weighty in the future. So let's have a look at some of those reasons. The nature of politics is all about division. In fact, I think I looked up the meaning of politics at one point, and it actually had divisions broken down into divisions, because that determines how we vote. So those democracy gives us all a vote. Thank you very much, our democracy founders, for that. But not everybody is going to vote the same, and that's the meaning of democracy. Is that it is the majority vote. Well, that's a little bit different in America, but I won't go into that. Trump lost the majority vote in 2016 and in 2020. I'll get to that in a minute. The nature of politics is about division. People do, not all, some people, the political animals, if you like, thrive on division. And why do they thrive on that? Because it's a contest for them. And it's my person wins. I want my person to win. And so there's a division. I'm not going to look at your side because I want my side, and I don't care about your side. And I really, at the end of the day, don't care much about the guy that is heading up my side, because I just want my side to win. Trump knows that and exploits that division in human nature. And I could go through 1,000 reasons why human nature is divided. From the spiritual point of view, it's all about learning, of course. It's all about overcoming our baser instincts, learning the lessons, and moving more and more to this higher evolution, where we understand that none of this stuff matters. We don't need to participate, that the only thing that matters is love. And so we are in this continual state as human beings of learning. Some will learn at different times to others, and some will learn different lessons and have opportunities and choices. Some won't always take those opportunities and choices to move toward that higher way of looking at things, which really does engender peace, goodwill, and a more abundant lifestyle for us. That's the terrible shame with all of this, is that division holds everybody back. Anyway, Trump knows that they want my side to win type of division, and so he exploits that by literally acting like a wrestler in a ring in a carnival, getting people chanting, literally chanting. And when he's got them in that frenzy, he can pretty much say and do anything he wants. I want my person to win. I want my guy to win. Okay, so that's one reason. Another reason is he made lying okay. All right, so prior to Trump, I don't think we've ever had anyone in public life who can tell those bald-faced lies and get away with it. It's like when he was doing it to begin with, it was like, oh, shock, horror. Oh, no. And then he kept doing it, and then he kept doubling down, and he did it very cleverly because he would propagate the lie that was what you were thinking of as the truth and confuse everybody, confuse people's moral compass. There's such a thing as a moral compass. Okay, well, I hear an element of truth in that lie. So is he really lying? Okay, and remembering, I want my guy to win. He made lying okay. He made disregarding the facts okay. He shattered that. Broke it to a million pieces, that ceiling that kept, or that guardrail that kept us all civilized. He made lying okay, and he made disregarding the facts okay. He made I can do anything I want to do without consequences because I'm the most powerful person in this world when he was president. So therefore, I can do anything I want to do, so can you. What a moment of liberation for the mob mentality. That's the mob right there. He created a mob. And then while he was creating that energetically, think of that energy, he hurled it at the Congress on January the 6th in an attempted coup. I haven't finished yet. Delusion, the cult, the otherwise peaceful, law-abiding person suddenly gets turned into an insurrectionist, prepared to wage violence. What is that? That's the cult at work. That is illusion. That is delusion. The persona of power and the innate drive in us all to be what we consider powerful can make us do anything. And Trump knew that as well. He's a rule breaker. He's an alleged lawbreaker. And for this next reason, people are still supporting him because in order to become elected in the United States of America, the conservative side of politics has moved more into extremism in order to get elected. They don't like losing. They want the power. How laughable that they're backing a multiple-timed loser. He lost in 2018. he lost the House to the Democrats. In 2020, he lost the presidency and the Senate and the House. And in 2022, there was supposed to be this big red wave, and it ended up being a trickle where the Democrats kept the Senate and the Republicans took the House with a handful of votes, such that nothing much can get done, because the House in Congress is held by a handful, that majority is a handful of extremists. To me, that's a big lose. That's a big lose. So ironic, isn't it? However, he still has the cult on his side, and he still has the mob on his side. And he still has the extremely divided person that wants their guy to win on his side. And so even though he's losing, the Republican Party can't do much about ejecting him and putting in a candidate that will win. And it's quite ironic to see their attempts fielding extremist candidates that would have no hope of winning the election, because they're trying to get the mob, get Trump's mob base, get his cult base, and maybe if they win the primary, they'll change their tune and yada, yada. Okay, now we get to the higher realms now. I've been stuck in the 3D for quite some time with all of this, but hey, someone has to be, eh? We have to do what we do to put a stake in the ground to try and realign things back to those guardrails and boundaries, because without that, we have an uncivilized society, unsustainable, uncivilized, out of control society without rules. Well, there would be rules, but they wouldn't be democratic rules at the end of the day. Okay, so the Moon card. Again, this is very much a battle between the civilized and the uncivilized, the lower and the higher. And this is where I get why I know that things are changing in the longer term here, because the universe always has the last say. And so this is very much a battle that we all have to roll our sleeves up for. At the end of the day, there can be no other outcome than if we want a civilized society based on rules, facts, and an established order, if you like, that in its imperfection does have as much freedom for the individual as possible, remembering a democracy is all about the vote. There are more people who want civilized, fact-based, evolving society than there are the mob and the cult and the lawbreakers and those that would seize power no matter what. There are more of us than them. And we've got the two cards that I just picked up there was defeat. And that's why defeat and the Princess of Cups. That's why the only way we can to care for ourselves and others is through healthy choices and options, not unhealthy. And that's why this is a battle, literally between the archetypes of, let's just say, good and evil, because so many of us know that. The archetype of fairness and greed, the archetype of democracy and authoritarian rule, all of those energies are at play here. So many of you have asked, will Trump win in 2024 if he is the candidate? And I've read on this a lot. Really, it's a matter for all of us to stand up and be counted, whether you're a Christian, an evangelical, or you know, a pro or anti-abortion rights, whatever, wherever your division point lies, this is a time to stand up and be counted, because electing and supporting a former US president that led an attempted coup, you will lose your democracy, and it will threaten global democracy as well. This is a time to stand up and be counted. So I'm appealing to those Republicans who don't support Trump, and those independents not to be swayed by third-party candidates who would help Trump be elected, but to stand up and be counted and get rid of this alleged lawbreaker, this defendant Trump, indicted on multiple criminal charges, to get rid of him once and for all and wipe the slate clean and start again. That is the promise. That is the promise that we have. All right. So will Trump be elected? I'm just prepared for whatever you're going to throw at me. Will Trump be elected in 2024 if he's the candidate? If Trump is the candidate for the US president in 2024, will he be elected? So what I'm seeing there clairvoyantly, because I often will get images as I'm shuffling, it's the women. It's the women who are most likely to cross that divide, literally, and vote against Trump. So we have here the science. I'm so glad to see that. The Six of Swords in the traditional tarot is moving out of troubled waters. I'm using the Toff deck here now. It seemed apt for this kind of 3D energy. And brutally honest, to be honest. Now we get the science here, and that's lovely. Six of Swords talks about moving out of troubled waters, and it talks about logic and facts matter. And we get Fortune's wheel, the Wheel of Fortune. So I see two very strong, yes, indicators, cards here that we will be moving away from trouble, not to it. So Six of Swords science, the change has already occurred with this Wheel of Fortune. The change has already occurred, moving back to fact-based order. And of course, people suing other people in the courts. I mean, you cannot upend an entire democracy in 4 years. He's done a lot of damage, but he hasn't quite upended it yet. Now we get here the Four of Swords, and we get truce. That's nice. That tells me that some of those independents, people will stand up to be candid. A truce, okay? The divide, my side. Some people say there's been a civil war brewing or even ongoing in America. Truce, peace. The flag's raised. In the back in the past, we have the Three of Wands, and in this deck, it is virtue. Virtue in the past. He wasn't elected. He's a multiple loser. And then in the Five, in the sky, which is crowning this reading, we get strife, the Five of Wands. This is division. There is potential for division. It's only a potential, and he will create it and he will exploit it. In the immediate future, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So much will also be determined on America's economic performance. And the Queen of Dis talks about security, both domestic and national security as well. And so that, again, one of the things that Trump is indicted for is on a national espionage charge for taking top secret documents. There's more to come on that, which will influence the election as well. Now, in the here and now, we get the Three of Pentacles. Now, there are powerful forces, even in that category of, those that want to consolidate power and are prepared to break the rules. There are those that are working within the Conservative Party in the US, working to bring Trump down because he is a multiple-time loser. And we get worry here, the Five of Pentacles. So the here and now, just who's working for whom, is a question, and that comes back to who can I trust. Now we get Dominion, the Two of Wands, contracts and commitments. Dominion in the hopes and fears. Who is going to win here? We get Aries and Mars energy here. The North nodes are moving into Aries and South node into today, the true node's 17th. Well, it's 17th here. We get the Ace of Cups in the outcome. That's new starts, number one, and we get the Hanged Man. Okay, so pausing that. Already the Hanged Man is a powerful indicator that people are thinking they might be making decisions might have made decisions with their emotions in the past, but they are thinking twice about that. And we get the Eight of Pentacles in this deck. Adjustment. There's a whole lot of adjustments being made to all those categories there. People are thinking twice about this. And finally, we get the Chariot. So there is, before we get to 2024, there's going to be a whole lot more emerging. And then we get the Six of Wands, the Victory card. We get the Nine of Cups at the base of the pack, happiness and interfering, the Eight of Swords, interference, interfering with my happiness, interfering with my peace, my civilized. What I expect when I wake up in the morning is a democracy, not an authoritarian rule, and the truth emerging here at the moment. The truth will be victorious, and we finally get the Ten of Swords at the base of the pack, the underlying energy, debauchery and ruin. Debauchery and ruin. All right, so people are currently reassessing their support for him, and I think if the polls were true, they would pick that up. The polls are so inaccurate. That Hanged Man tells me there's a pausing, a suspension at the higher level. Trump brought forward the need to look at all of this, and in that way, he will be a sacrifice, because it's not a bright future that he has. Okay, so let's just put it that way. Show me this Ace of Cups, please. All right, so we have here the Knight of Swords, and really that's what that's all I really need to say here. They're reassessing their emotional support for this guy, my guy, because of the truth that is coming out. And this Prince of Swords is part of the adjustment that's going on, bringing forward the truth about what. We get this debauched energy, and we get this ruination. So the universe will have the last say, and the last say will be truthful, and we will move back. Thank you. There's that orb. We'll move back to more an era based on truth, science, facts, because we cannot live any other way in a civilized society. We would descend simply to an unruly, uncivilized, law-breaking mob. And if you doubt what I'm saying, take a good, close, hard look at the people who were storming the Capitol in America, their seat of Parliament, Congress. Take a good, hard look at some of those people. And tell me, we know history, we've had the lessons so many times, these same people would become the people who would be the supposed guardians of the government. You choose, but I think the choice has already been made. Only someone needs to tap the former president on the shoulder and say, you're on a losing train. The Trump train. Okay, thank you for joining me. Bye for now.